Okay, when you hear the word hypnotherapy, I want you to forget about the swinging watches and all those silly stage tricks. Today, we're pulling back the curtain and demystifying the whole thing. We're going to treat it as what it really is, a practical tool for making real, lasting change in your life. Basically, we're looking at the user manual for your own mind. So let's dive right in. But first, let's start with a really basic question, one you've probably asked yourself a million times. How do you reason with a habit? You know, that craving you want to kick or that nagging procrastination you just can't seem to shake. How do you logically convince it to just stop? I mean, you've probably tried, right? Well, here's the thing. You don't. You just don't. You can't argue with a symptom. To get anything done, you have to go straight to the source. You got to talk to the boss, the part of your mind that's actually running the show behind the scenes. And to do that, you're going to need a map. So, how do we get a meeting with the boss? First things first, we need that map. This next part is all about understanding the blueprint of your mind. And I'm not talking about some abstract philosophy here. I mean the actual operating system that dictates how you think, feel, and act every single day. So think of your mind as having three main parts. First, you've got your conscious mind. That's the part you're using right now to listen to me. It's great at logic and analysis, but honestly, it has a pretty limited bandwidth. Then you've got the subconscious mind. This is the powerhouse. It's a vast, limitless storage drive for all your habits, your deepest beliefs, your emotions. And right between them, we have the star of our show, the critical factor. The critical factor is kind of like a super vigilant bouncer at the door of a club. Its one and only job is to look at any new ideas or suggestions, like, I am a confident public speaker, and compare them to the programming you already have, like, but I've been terrified of public speaking my whole life. And if there's no match, reject it. It gets tossed right out. This right here is why just using willpower so often falls flat. So, and this is the most important part, the entire goal of a hypnotic induction is to just bypass that bouncer. It's about distracting them, getting them to relax so you can open a direct, unfiltered line of communication to the subconscious. That way you can install new, much more useful software. The only question is, how do you do it? Well, one of the most reliable ways is to follow a really structured roadmap. This approach isn't about some kind of magical intuition or innate talent. No, it's a systematic process that's designed for, as our source material puts it, mere mortals. It's a path that pretty much anyone can learn to follow. And this is what it looks like. It's called the therapeutic cycle. It's a really thorough 5-stage process. You start with preparation, which is all about getting the mind ready. Then comes the induction. That's the hypnosis part. After that is the change work, where you actually deliver the new ideas. But what makes this so great is that it doesn't stop there. It includes integration to make sure the changes actually stick, and a feedback loop to make things even better next time. It's a complete full-circle system. And just so you know, this kind of structured approach has some serious scientific weight behind it. Even simple direct suggestion hypnosis, a key part of this cycle, has an effect size of 0.71 for things like pain management. Now, in scientific terms, that's a really significant, measurable impact. It works. But there is another way. Now, let's switch gears and look at a completely different philosophy, one that was embodied by the absolute legend of hypnotherapy, Milton Erickson. His approach is much less of a structured roadmap and way more of an intuitive dance. You could call it the master's path. Now, this is what I find so fascinating. You've got the structured therapeutic cycle on one side, which is a process you follow step by step. And then you have Erickson's model, which is more of a philosophy you have to embody. And here's the kicker. On paper, Erickson's model looks way simpler, right? Just 2 steps, induction and utilization. But simple doesn't always mean easy. As our source points out, you have to remember this was Milton Erickson. He had about 50 years of experience under his belt. His whole method depends on razor-sharp observation and this idea of response readiness, the uncanny ability to use whatever someone gives you, even their resistance, as the key to helping them change. For a beginner, trying that is like being dropped in the middle of a forest without a map or a compass. It's tough. Okay, so we've got the structured roadmap for mere mortals and the intuitive path of the master. So what if we could blend the best of both worlds? What if we could create a simple, practical, and really easy to remember toolkit, a framework that's built for action? Let's build it right now. So it all kicks off with P, and P is for prepare. Think of this like tilling the soil before you plant a seed. It is the absolutely essential first step of building trust and getting the mind ready for something new. A lot of people skip this, but it's crucial for success. Next up, we have I for induce. This is the part where we help that conscious, analytical mind quiet down. It's where we gently distract that gatekeeper we talked about, creating a nice, clear pathway straight to the subconscious. Then comes C for change work. Okay, the pathway is open. This is where the magic happens. This is the heart of the whole session, the moment where we can install new, empowering beliefs and behaviors. Our second I stands for integrate. Look, a change that only happens in a therapy session is pretty useless, right? This is the step where we lock in that new programming and make absolutely sure it carries over into real, everyday life. It's so important. And finally, we have F for feedback, because change isn't just a one-and-done deal, it's a process. This final step creates a loop, a way to constantly improve and refine and strengthen the results over time. And there you have it, all together, the PICIF model. Prepare, induce, change work, integrate, and feedback. See how it takes the solid structure of that therapeutic cycle, but wraps it in a simple, memorable acronym? It's a really practical, powerful sequence for guiding change. And this is just brilliant. It shows you exactly how to put it into action. For prepare, use what's called the yes set to build instant agreement. For induce, a simple progressive relaxation is super reliable and low risk. For change work, use a story or a metaphor. It's like a Trojan horse for the mind. Then follow it up with clear, direct suggestions. Then you integrate by guiding them into the future with their new change. And for feedback, you just end by asking something positive like, what was the best part? It's simple, it's actionable, and it is so effective. But, okay, after learning all these frameworks, the big structured cycle, the intuitive master's path, and our handy Pick Fifth toolkit, what's the real key? What separates the apprentice from the master? You know, the ultimate takeaway is this. Frameworks are just maps. They are not the territory. The goal is not to find one perfect system and use it like a robot. No, true skill, true mastery comes from developing what the source calls response readiness. It's about having the flexibility to listen, to observe, and to adapt your tools and your entire approach to the unique individual human being right there in front of you. Which, of course, brings us all the way back to you. We've just walked through a kind of user manual for the human mind. We've explored how it's built and, more importantly, how it can be updated. So, the final question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you have a better idea of how it all works, what's the first thing you would change?